Hey you guys, I am back. It is Thursday and today's topic, it's a tough one, you guys. We're going to talk about addiction. There's so many different parts of addiction to talk about. It's kind of hard to narrow it down, but just to give you a little briefing, I think to start with for addiction, I think it's fair to say there's so many different levels of addiction and it affects so many different people. As a therapist, watching people struggle, watching people relapse, it's a very, very normal thing. However, as a person that has also been inside of a relationship where I've loved an addict, I've suffered by an addict, I've been abused by an addict, I've lost everything because of another person's choices. I've kind of been on both sides of that spectrum, and I did land on my feet. It was very traumatic, and so again, mental health is such a factor. So many times you see people utilizing substance abuse as their crutch, or as their coping skill because they don't have any, or because chemically maybe something is not balanced with them, and it was the easier route to go, and then they find themselves in such a horrible place. They have these senses of clarity, but they don't want to be hurting themselves or other people, but they just can't get out. So I want to talk about how this plays in to the outside world, like how the outside world sees you, how the outside world has such a strong judgment on the people that love these people. So let's start with first talking about judgment and how we all judge every single day. We could just look at somebody and in our head we judge. It's a natural human instinct. It doesn't necessarily make it right, but human instinct nonetheless. So this is something we have to consciously put a lot of effort into and make ourselves better people, not to judge. Such an easy thing. People look at addicts and say, you must not love your family enough. You must not love your kids enough. You don't love yourself enough. That's right. They don't love themselves at that moment. They don't know how to love themselves. That I actually agree with in a level, maybe not necessarily the derogatory way in which it's used by other people towards addicts, but it's such a sticky subject. It really is, you guys. Substance abuse these days is everywhere, and what defines substance abuse, it depends on who you talk to. I mean, I could tell you what the diagnoses are, the criteria, and what we use, which is the DSM-5 to diagnose people, and that's based on what the truth. I mean, I'll tell you, an addict will usually say, hey, Miss Tabitha, I'll have 3 beers a night. It's usually 9. I mean, that's the truth about it. Now, that's just me generalizing. That's not that for everybody. That's just my experience as a therapist. Now, I will tell you, when I was growing up, I don't remember having any exposure to substance abuse. I think I was pretty shielded from it. I remember doing the DARE program, which I think we all do. I think they do it a lot younger now. My son went through I think he was in 2nd grade when he started talking about that. I could be wrong though, but I do think he was pretty young. I remember it 5th grade. I don't know why it sticks out in 5th grade for me so much, but you know, the whole DARE program, I remember it distinctly. So I will tell you that we're definitely educating the kids, but it's everywhere, and they're dressing it up. I mean, they got candy now. We really have to be vigilant, and as parents we really have to talk to our kids about it, even though it's not something we feel like maybe we should have to talk about when they're super young. But if we don't, I think that it'll be to our detriment and to their detriment to shield them from that. Always age appropriate conversations. They don't need to know certain things. They just need to know what drugs are, the different forms that they can come in, the strength to say no, and how that is not always going to be the most popular answer. and how that's okay, and to give them that strength to, to stand in that position. So that's one thing. And then to stop judging the people that are sitting in families with addicts. It is hard to be a family with an addict. It is hard to intervene. It's hard to put your foot down. I will tell you that until an addict is genuinely ready, they're not going to get sober. They're just not. Most addicts have glimpses at times, and it really shows you like, oh, they're still in there. They are. They absolutely are. I 100% believe that there is good in almost every single person on this planet. I believe that if we build a strong mind, whether that is we've always had it or whether we build it in therapy and with self-help and with friends and family, sometimes it might be extremely difficult and a long road, but I really do genuinely believe that people can overcome. I do. I'll always believe that. Another reason why I'm a therapist and really push for it to help. So that is definitely one of those things it's hard. I didn't know a lot about addiction, and in my 20s, it turned out I had a lot of boyfriends that did stuff, and in the beginning it was like, oh, I'm not dealing with that, bye. I mean, I really wasn't invested, so I was young, why not? Bye. You're not acting nice. Okay, that was easy. I'm a strong woman. That was easy. And then the next one, it was a different kind of relationship. I was way more invested, but I knew it was toxic, and that just was not where I needed to be. So it took me a little longer, but like I said, I was super motivated. I was still super young, had a lot going on, and able to cut that tie. Now, the next relationship, there were children that eventually became involved, and building a life, with somebody, and then the addiction is creeping, and it's coming in little by little, and then you ask those questions, those hard questions of like, I'm noticing all this stuff is going on. Other people are noticing. Am I going crazy? But I wasn't. But I thought I was. And that's really the struggle that the people that live inside, that the addicts that they live with have become very good at hiding what they do a lot of times. And so I think it's super important to give these people a little grace, to be there, to be the reminder, to be strong, that you can move on. And sometimes there could be some serious abuse going on behind these closed doors that nobody knows about or nobody wants to believe. And I think it's just important to support those people and to continue to remind them, like, here are your resources, and I'm here when you're ready. And let those people take the time that they need to do what they feel they need to do, because they, as well as the addict, they're not going to make the move. And sometimes it's too late, but and that's a very sad thing. But they have to get all their ducks in a row until they're comfortable, and to not judge them. That's the last thing that they need, is that judgment. So don't judge them, just be there for them and encourage them that, why don't you get yourself to a safe place and a stable place, and then try to help from arm's length, so your safety is in a good place, but that you're not giving up, so to speak. Because I think that's a big thing with the families, is they feel like, oh, I can't give up on them. They don't have anybody else. Oh, they had a bad childhood. Oh, addiction runs in their family. Everybody wants to make excuses for the addict. And these things very well may be true facts. But everybody has to hold themselves accountable, and we can only allow other people to pull us as low as we will allow them to pull us down. And so can we be strong and still have addicts in our life? We absolutely can. We can set boundaries. It's a hard thing to do. And I really highly recommend therapy for the individual addict and for the family, for support. There's all kinds of groups out there. As society, though, I mean, this is a big issue, you guys, and addiction is running rampant, and I think we need to really push supporting one another than judging one another with everything. Mental illness and addiction are real. They really are real. I know so many people say they can just quit. They should be able to just quit. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, there was definitely a time in my life that I felt like that, like, what is wrong with these people? Just stop. And until I studied and until I read the research, I really didn't understand. Some of these people suffer from PTSD, which will be another live feed, and we can talk about that. Some of these people, they just don't know, they don't have any coping skills. You know, some people push their stress into like working out, and then that becomes an addiction in a different way, a healthier level of addiction. However, I will tell you that you're going to see steroid abuse inside of some people that are super fit or appear super fit. So not everything is what it seems on the outside. And I think it's important to open our eyes, to open our ears, open our hearts, to be true, to try to be our best self in order to help other people. If you see somebody struggling, think about how you're saying something to them, because just the delivery of a message to you, you're thinking, I'm just concerned, I'm going to ask, but to them, you just made them super defensive. And it's a lot about that delivery, and that's something I'm still learning. In my day-to-day parenting and my relationship with my husband, with my patients, I literally practice sometimes saying something out loud so I can hear it. So that's super important. And if you guys want to know more about addiction, or if you guys are struggling with a friend, or there's tons of groups out there. There's Al-Anon groups, and there's AA and NA groups. And I'm gonna be real honest with you, we had to, when I was going through grad school, participate in these groups, and I was terrified, you guys. Like, walking into some of those meetings is really intimidating, but holy moly, if you get in a good one, I have never struggled with addiction, but wow, how powerful. It was like going into like a really great church where the pastor was just so motivating, and you felt like super fresh when you walked out. Same thing, and these people, they love each other and they support each other, and what an amazing community that is. No judgment. People, they lay it all out there, and so courageous and brave. And I think, again, this is another thing that I'm trying to push out, the awareness, so that we can build a community. So maybe some people don't know how, or know where the meetings are, know how to walk into those meetings, and just being able to listen to a live feed, it might just give them that one step closer to looking at their mom or their dad or their significant other and be like, we got to start somewhere. Like, I'm ready. Or maybe you're that person, that significant other or that daughter, or where the addict is running the show. And that's a really hard show to be a part of. And it sometimes takes a really long time to get out of that. And you endure things you never thought in your life that you would possibly endure. But I can promise you, you can get through anything. If you focus yourself enough, you can get through anything. Ask for help. Never be afraid. Oh, we're falling. Never be afraid to ask for help, ever. Ask for help to deal with an addict. So the bottom line here is that let's try not to judge so much. There are so many children who have addicts for parents, and I mean, I see them so much, and it's so sad. And they're being raised by their grandparents or their aunts or foster care, and then they're made to feel guilty because they miss and they love their parent, or the mom whose son's 40 years old, still in and out of her house and in and out of jail. She can't change him or her. They'll change when they're ready, but don't enable it either, because that's just going to bring you down. But you can still love that person, and let's not judge them. There's a balance. It's a hard balance to find, but you can find it. Rest assured you can find it. All right, you guys, if y'all have any questions, you can pop them in below. If this is a topic, maybe there's a part of this topic that you want me to talk about another time, go ahead and private message me, and or any topics for that matter, and I'll bring them up. Also, while you guys are watching, which I'm so excited, so many people are watching tonight, you can do the little comments, and I can answer questions while I'm on live. So I look forward to seeing you guys next Monday, and I haven't quite thought about what we're going to talk about, but if you guys want me to talk about anything in particular, just let me know and we can talk about it. All right, y'all have a great night.